Okay, so this is our opportunity or your opportunity to really dive in with the GHA Research Team to ask questions and find out some ins and outs or details about why we're hosting our seed trials, why we're doing what we're doing. I'd love for each of you guys or each of our committee members to just give a little quick intro. I know that this is a small group. It looks like we had quite a few registered, and so we'll give it a few minutes before people get logged on, but just letting you guys know that really we're going over the ins and outs and giving you guys an opportunity to ask questions and learn more than the way I can explain it, especially about why we're doing what we're doing and how we're going to do it. And then obviously an opportunity to meet our research committee and the team that we've put together to do this. And so I'll give it a couple of minutes as we wait for people to log on. Are we sharing the frequent asked question, the FAQ sheet, Dr. Mahdi and you guys? I'll upload it, or if somebody else wants to upload it to share it.
Yeah, I think, that would be a good idea to share it with the audience so we could go over it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up really quick for us.
Right.
While we wait for people to get logged in. And Joanne, I'm going to make you the co-host. Patrick, hi, it's good to see you. Rusty, hello. Hi, Shane. Okay, Shane, I have to tell you, you should be very jealous.
I'm sure.
She's where we're supposed to be.
That's right.
They're going to see a mass migration here soon if they don't be careful.
Yeah, I'll send the address. We won't tell them. I'm just kidding. Poor Perky and Sharon will think that we're crazy. Like, who are all these people here showing up? But for those of you that just logged on, we're just going to give it a couple more minutes before we get started. If anybody has anything that they'd like to share, you're more than welcome to, or if you have anything specific. But really the format of this, I'm going to let our team go through the document that we've created. I will drop and share. Joanne, I don't know if you have access to the links. If not, I can go ahead and add them into the chat so that everybody on the call has the documents. But I will go ahead and share them so you guys can follow along. There's a research proposal, a frequently asked questions document, and then our deck that explains what our sponsor levels are and what each of them get. There's also a donation link that we'd love for you guys to share. There was an email that went out this morning to all of our attendees and members that just has all of this information in it also. So please feel free to share. And thank you for everybody that has already shared. We've seen a lot of comments and a lot of engagement, and so that's been fun. But Joanne, what do you have? Can you find those, or do you want me to look for them? Okay, other than that, I suppose we could probably get started. I'll just keep letting people in. But if you guys as a team, Drew, if you maybe want to start and then just kind of go through the list. I see I see Drew, then Dr. Mahdi, then Melissa on my screen. In that order, if you guys want to just do a quick intro about who you are and what your role is.
Problem. My name is Drew Kitt. I'm based in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm not in a hemp field, but I was this summer. And so I've been distributing cannabinoid genetics primarily since 2018. And then last year began expanding more into the grade and fiber side, and then spent some time last year going to several grows to see plants in field and learning about how these genetics perform in different areas, and then also developing relationships with processors, of which there's a handful, so that wasn't too challenging. But as the industry grows, and really understanding the fact that manufacturers who are starting to do R&D are looking for specific specifications for their materials and the applications that they're intending on incorporating hemp into, will need to align with processors who are going to produce that material, and then certain genetics perform best relative to where those processors are and the material that they're needing to produce. So it really kind of made it clear to me that it's important to do research. With the cannabinoid market, too many farmers went too big too fast and speculatively growing, and it hurt the industry. So really wanted to be more thoughtful and strategic in the approach of helping the industry as a whole, and primarily focusing on farmers and looking at what material currently where the biggest demand is for herds. So that's really where this project, and I should also say non-woven coarse fiber, where this project is focused on understanding different genetics being grown in different regions and how they perform. So again, being involved in seed distribution, this was clearly important to me, and I wanted to be involved, and I got involved.
Thanks, Drew. I was trying to find my mute button. Who else do I see on my screen that's next? Dr. Mahdi, if you want to give a quick intro, I love that.
Good morning, everyone, and maybe good afternoon to people on the East Coast. And my name is Mahdi Al-Kaisi. I'm faculty at Iowa State University. I recently retired from Iowa State University a few months ago, and I got roped into this effort thanks to Neil, who introduced me to Mandi, and it was a good opportunity really to contribute to the research direction based on my experience in academia conducting research for 30 years plus. I'm a soil scientist, agronomist doing a lot of applied research and laboratory research in different areas looking into productivity and coupled with the environmental impact. So when this project presented, I find really great opportunity to interact and learn as well, because I'm not really expert in hemp production or hemp for that fact, but I found it's really an opportunity and fascinating new crop that we need to advance, and the industry need to start on the right footing by developing research and development program within GHA, which is a great opportunity for provide information for the membership and the industry at large. Thank you, Mandi.
Yeah, and for anybody who hasn't, I have interviewed Dr. Mahdi. He's got an incredible background. It is available. So yes, there's definitely a huge value add with your extensive background and experience, which is why I really want to give credit to our team where credit's due, that this is not me, a non-farmer, non-researcher putting this on. Our team is super incredible. Yeah, Melissa, if you want to speak a little bit to that and add to where you're even at right now, what you're doing.
All right. So my name is Melissa Nelson. I am I'm owner and a field crop scientist of Performance Crop Research located in Great Bend, Kansas. And so what I do is I am a researcher that works with and contracts with companies all over the world to basically help product create that label that's going to be submitted to the EPA. So any field data that's collected, that's all me. Fertilizers, insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, you name it. I've probably done field tests on it. And if you can grow it in Kansas, I've probably done it as well. So when Mandi came to me from the Global Hemp Association and wanted to organize a variety trial and really find more reputable data for varieties, I jumped on the chance immediately. Definitely where my passion is. I'm actually down in Orlando this week at the National Alliance of Independent Crop Consultants. It's where a lot of the researchers go. It's our big week conference where we do a lot of and continuing education. And so that's what I'm up to this week and what I'm a little bit about my background.
Hanging out with all of our people. It's great. Okay, so Rusty, I see you on the screen next.
Yeah, so Russ Peterson, I'm in Michigan, Line Agro. We started after the Farm Bill, planted in 2019 for cannabinoids, went a little bit big, as Drew suggested. Our whole goal was to figure out kind of end use applications for plastics and non-wovens. So we also started growing for fiber and for grain to kind of understand dual cropping and the types of yields that we would get from some of the varieties. To input those into kind of innovators' hands, materials, substrate, and molding, And we've developed quite a few different customer and client contacts that are looking exactly for those end use applications, and they're utilizing actually material already from across the pond. So the idea for them is to tap into our domestic supply once we get kind of a more consistent volume at spec material for them, and pivot over to a domestic supply for them. So that's for the last 2 years. Again, we've decided to figure out what fiber and grain varietals are going to grow best as far as yield tonnage, and be able to be processed and manufactured to those specifications for those customers and clients. And then basically networking throughout the United States and throughout the world actually to understand what they're doing, tapping into awesome people like Melissa, Drew, Dr. Mahdi, and really the whole network as a whole. It's been amazing how this kind of brings everybody together.
Awesome. And then Neil, I see you're on today. It's good to see you. I don't know if you want to give a quick intro. Dr. Mahdi kind of gave you a shout out, but I'd love, just a real quick intro.
Well, good morning. Thank you for the gathering here. Yeah, it's it's exciting to see this come together. This is a good feature for the Hemp Association, and you got great people running the show, and it's going to be a good season, I think. Yeah, that's all I have to add. Otherwise, we work on carbon. I'm happy to talk to you about carbon if that's of interest.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I just saw Caren log on. Caren wasn't on last time, but Caren Wilcox is also involved in the team. Once she gets in, maybe I can get her to say hello as well. But I'm going to go ahead and share the frequently asked questions doc. Hi, Caren. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I can hear. Thank you.
Hi, I was just having our team give a really quick intro, our research team. And I don't know if you would like to give a quick intro so that people know who you are. People ask me all the time, who is Caren? I see her on the calls. And so, yeah, I'd love for you to say hello and just give a quick intro. Why are you involved?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Well, I'm involved because I've been involved with hemp since about 2012. And I was at USDA at the time, so I had to be quite careful about my interest in hemp because USDA was not interested in hemp. But anyway, we got through the Farm Bill, and so I've been trying to promote the development of hemp for a long time. I've had a long and checkered career, so I'll just be short and say that I've worked for a Fortune 200 company, for the chairman of the board for almost 10 years, and I've worked for President Clinton, and I was at USDA at a total of 11 years, including being Deputy Undersecretary for Food Safety in the Clinton administration and working in research, education, and economics in the Obama administration. So I'm a contributor here.
Yes, thank you very much, Caren. I appreciate you. So I'd like to again hand this over to our team. Let's save questions. If you guys do have specific questions, I see that there's a lot of you on the call that I'm really glad to see you that are involved in the seeds and the supply chain and the distribution. And so please feel free to jump in and ask questions. But we do have a pretty robust frequently asked questions doc that we'll review really quick. So I don't know if it's Dr. Mahdi that's starting again or if we want to hand it over to somebody else, but you guys go ahead and I'll put myself on mute.
Okay. If you want me to start, guys, I'll give it a try and follow the same procedure we did in the last presentation. Thanks, Mandi, for putting this together and get us in one place to discuss really this important effort for the GHA to provide research-based data to membership about different varieties and different production issues related to the hemp industry. So when we started this effort, we built a proposal and we worked the details and protocols to develop the concept of research. In any research, from my own experience and my colleagues in this call as well, that you need really to establish a robust protocol to screen and evaluate these different lines or different cultivars. And we did that in the university. USDA do that as well in many different crops. So we find why we want to do this. The idea of doing this is to evaluate this research is essential to provide really well-based, research-based information that could be defended, on many different levels, and that's engaging different partners in the process. So the protocol we developed is based on a statistical design that's widely used by the private industry or by USDA or universities, and namely to have quality control over the data gathering through this research. And the other reason we did that, variety evaluation studies, really fundamental to develop and promote any new crop. So we need to screen these different cultivars and different varieties to establish a baseline data on the performance. This is not a breeding program. This is basically a screening trials to evaluate these different varieties performance and develop database. That database could be shared with the industry and with the membership. So through that process, we have to have quality control. And there are several questions raised or concerned why we do it in smaller plots. The reason we do it in small plots is really to minimize what we call it, the jargon in academia, spatial variability. So you minimize that because the soil is not really a homogeneous medium. You will have variability from one foot to another in the soil and the landscape. So you need to evaluate that in a more controlled environment and minimize that variability to give you a good response and do justice to all these varieties. So the quality outcome of these is going to be critical to, give the farmers and the industry more well-controlled data through the process of that research. I'll stop here and ask Melissa to continue with the varieties testing and number 2 and 3 to go over the methodology.
Yeah, so we were very strategic in the varieties that we chose. These are fiber-based varieties. We are taking it longer than like textile grade fiber because there's a lot more data to collect that we can still accumulate from the non-textile grade fiber as well as herd production. We've got 10 different varieties that are going to be drilled and planted. It's basically like a side-by-side variety trial. And then we're going to have 6 different regions throughout the United States with these 10 locations. So as you saw on letter E, North, Central, South, Midwest, East Coast, and West Coast. This is going to allow a variety of latitudes and just give a very comprehensive report as to how these varieties perform and the different weather conditions, etc. When these reports come in, again, they'll be very comprehensive, soil samples, tissues, variety, biomass, just a lot of data is being collected, particularly on insect disease pressure, just kind of what we're seeing in these different regions. And so that's kind of what we did, or why we did the varieties and then the locations that we did, because we feel like they're going to really hit a lot of our target audience and a lot of these farming communities that are really going to thrive in fiber production. So if you want to scroll down to number 3. Okay, and so who is conducting this research? As you guys know, there's a lot of research that's out there currently, but how reliable is it? And so we are working with researchers, independent researchers and they're all a part of the organization of NAICC. Not just anybody can be in this organization. You have to have sponsors. There's a very rigorous protocol that you have to have done in terms of schooling and work experience to be considered a member of this organization, so that the locations that we are going to put trials in is these independent researchers. And I think that covers everything I need to cover. Did I miss anything, Mandi or Mahdi?
No, I think one point I may add, there's some question why this research was not done by the universities. I think anybody work with the universities know the model of the university. Do research through the university is very costly, is very expensive. That's one reason we thought we do it that route, is to look into the private industry and work with the performance crop research, which is well regarded research entity, and they have a lot of experience. The second reason we do it, GHA has no really infrastructure for research to manage that large program and logistically to do research in these different areas through the country. As Melissa mentioned, we have about 6 areas, strategically located east, west, and central, and north and south, to examine this at different environment and different condition. Who can access these data or this research data? The data gathered from this research will be controlled and managed by GHA. So the data will be collected from different regions and processed by performance crop research entity that they will do the statistical analysis, tabulation, and preparing the reports in collaboration with the research team. And the research team will go through the data and all the raw data, and the final analysis of the data, the product of the reports will be available at the GHA website. That will be shared and distributed to the membership and also to the sponsor of these studies. Also, these data will be available to launch an education program that's critical to the hemp industry, to advance the fiber production industry. This is not a seed production trials, this is fiber production. And our focus will be on the tonnage and the biomass. I know there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of other needs, but this is really the initial stage or phase, if you will, in the research process to build that program. And I'm sure there's a lot of many issues as a new crop need to be looked at, from environmental, economic, production, soil carbon, which is my specialty. I work in soil carbon all my career to look into that medium. So there's a lot of questions to collaborate with other land grant universities, utilize their work if there is some effort going with the land grant universities. And so the data will be shared with them, with the ARS, to look the Agriculture Research Service, the arm of USDA, the research arm of USDA. There's great scientists there, and that's we could benefit from their experience conducting some conference workshops, field days will be also during the summer. We have about three, Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe three different regional field days in the central, east, west. So that's, we'll have opportunity for the farmers to visit that. I'll turn the rest to Mandi to talk about the sponsorship and funding.
Perfect. So speaking of field days, we'll partner with Cornell University for one of their events in March. In June, one of the events will be down with South Bend Hemp, Industrial Hemp and Melissa's group. And then looking for an additional location, we did speak with IND Hemp about potentially hosting up there as well and being able to partner. And so again, a lot of on-field education as we present data. We've also talked about being able to collaborate with additional land-grant universities to co-present data. So, this is a large encompassing project that really allows us to gather more content and be able to share. And I've got to give credit again to our team. We've had a lot of universities discuss or say, share interest in utilizing our protocols and some of our data to really to level out what we're doing and show the scalability and commercialization. And so it's refreshing to hear from, accredited entities and other universities that really value the vast data that we're able to collect from this report. As far as sponsoring and membership or sponsoring goes, we have partnered with Friends of Hemp. Friends of Hemp is a 501c3, so it makes the donation tax deductible. There's different levels of sponsorships available. We've got a donor box link that is also available that I would encourage you guys to share. I don't know if Joanne, if you have that. If not, I'll drop it into chat as well. But Joanne, I don't know if you want to speak also to where membership goes, and that this is part of our GHA membership. And by having membership and sponsoring, this opens up opportunity for us to continue to do industry work. And that, it's been very important to me and to our team, both Kayla and Joanne, that this is neutral data that can be used for both university as well as our organization and our members to grow from. And so I really encourage you guys to get involved, to please share, our memberships or our sponsors, start at the $10,000 and then go up from there for seed trials. But Joanne, if you want to speak a little bit about membership, or if you want to just put a little blurb in there, please feel free.
Yeah, so like Mandi mentioned, there's a lot of different benefits that do come with membership, and one being access to the data from the seed trials. That's just one example of what membership brings. We're constantly looking at different projects, taking on different things, different committees, and our members, you get an opportunity to, sit at the table and be in those discussions. So I just want to also say hi to our members that are on today. I see quite a few of you, so thank you for, supporting GHA with membership, and also for attending and being involved. And those who are not a member, if you're interested and want to join, please don't hesitate to reach out. You'll likely hear from me sometime this week, likely sometime today, probably by phone. So if you get a call that says spam from Utah, it's probably me calling. So please answer.
That's awesome. Rusty, I know Rusty and Drew, if you guys would like to add anything else before we open it up for questions, I'd love to hear from, if you guys have anything you want to add.
I mean, I would just add that this is basically the type of information that we're collecting, and how it's substantiated is exactly the type of information that I was looking for 2 years ago, that I would like to point to, that I would like to, when I'm speaking with farmers, operations, or even individuals looking at getting into the industry, as far as processing, manufacturing, what type of genetics and biomass yields and all of these things. I mean, this would have been crucial to have 2 years ago. It would have been crucial to have a year ago, and it's going to be crucial to have in the upcoming years. So I just can't say how much I appreciate and am grateful to be a part of this, because this is going to be great information that we're going to be able to give to farms and operations and everybody. And I'm just stoked. So that's what I wanted to add.
Thanks, Rusty.
And
Go ahead.
I'll just jump in too, just to reiterate the value and importance of this effort. I mean, this industry still unregulated. We're not getting support of government. There are access to grant funds and money, but it's really a collaborative kind of grassroots effort where those in the industry that see the potential and the opportunity that are doing it decide to come together and do it in a really thoughtful, strategic, and beneficial way to frame up a model. And there's lots of research that can be done. There's lots of things that can be looked at. This plant is extremely complex and offers so much, but at some point you just got to do something to keep moving forward. And so that's this effort, us coming together and looking at the opportunities and seeing that this really makes a lot of sense to do. So we're doing it. And if you guys want to get involved, whether it's social media, any sort of promotion, and to get on board and help us promote and reach out, it's all really appreciated. This is truly a grassroots effort to do it the right way and do it now.
Yeah, that's a great point when we talk about involvement. I know that there's a lot of questions about how to get involved, remembering that the trials themselves have been, I don't know if contracted there is the right word, Melissa, but bids have been put out and accepted for the research to be done and the trials to be done by people that are certified to collect the data. There's a lot of questions about, well, why don't we do on-farm trials this year? And I say there's a lot of value, again, back to the data, and explain if a farmer is collecting data and his water line breaks, his water line is his priority, not the data collection. And so we really want to be able to create the most sound resource for you guys and for our industry. Ideally, this would be funded by all of you, right? That we can put in a little bit of capital and we have multiple resources that are supporting this. Really, our processors and our end buyers are going to see huge value in this. And I hear all the time from our brands, before we come in, we have to have our inputs. We've got to be able to scale to multiple regions. And so this is a great opportunity. Here's a great question. Excuse me. Is the research just for industrial hemp seeds or open for CBD? It's industrial fiber. We're doing fiber varietals this year. So initially it's fiber and grain or fiber varietals. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add?
Nope. This is a multi-layer. We do understand there's a lot of varieties. There's dual purpose, there's grain focused, there's fiber focused. And we are really looking at the long-term effects of this. Hurd is a huge demand right now. Non-textile grade fiber is a huge demand right now. So those are the varieties that we're really pursuing this year. I hope this grows to next year. We're focused on grain varieties, and then we can focus on dual purpose varieties. But for this year, it is a fiber, non-textile grade herd production varieties we're looking at.
I also want to say, a lot of time when we started talking about this and publishing that we were doing this, it wasn't the first time we started working on it. Our team has been working on this for a long time to pull data and resources of what has been available so that we used that in our selection of seeds. And that includes what the market's calling for, not just what are certified or what seeds are readily available, right? Or what may be best, but considering all of those components. I did not want to publish data that said, hey, this seed is great and nobody can buy it, because then it's just not worth it. That can be something we can add to the future years, but with goal of really providing resources to our farmers, processors, and manufacturers. Question, I know we addressed this last time, but how many of the selected varieties, open source, or all of them IP protected? How many AOSCA and OECD? I don't know what that, how many of them are certified? Does anybody want to answer? Melissa, do you want to dive into that again? I know we talked about it last time.
Yeah, I would have to go look at the list. I don't have it in front of me. In terms of IP protected, maybe Drew would be able to speak better on this. Like I said, I don't have the list in front of me, and I don't have it memorized which ones are OCDE certified. Yeah, Drew, can you jump in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a half and half scenario. So again, availability relative to certification, and then there's different certification bodies. So I think it'll be interesting. I've been involved on the cannabinoid side and, looking at ayahuasca certified seed and non-certified seed and how they perform in different regions. And in some cases, one is better than the other and vice versa. So maybe this will be kind of and not necessarily a study that's going to be looking at that, but some information that will be available relative to how did ayahuasca certified perform against non-certified seed. So that's one piece of it. And typically, we're not the breeders where we'll be sourcing these. Usually they'll require a non-propagation, non-reproduction agreement. So as far as covering IP, that's the breeder distributors. They're usually paperwork whenever you're dealing with seeds. So
One of the reasons we use just only certified seed is because if you look at that list, most of them are Canadian varieties. And so while that's going to provide a lot of data for our northern regions, we know those are varieties that are not going to potentially perform well in your lower latitudes. So we tried to do a healthy mix of both. We tried to represent the industry in the best way possible as to what's available. And that's why we chose the varieties that we did.
Great answer.
Off of what Drew and Melissa were saying, for us last year, we grew mostly.
Oh, we lost.
That actually. Oh,
you're good now. Sorry.
The majority of our best performing varietals were non-certified seed. So it's just kind of, I was on this ayahuasca and OECD kick for a little while, understanding that they probably had a much higher value for biomass yield and everything. But of course, after last year and seeing it kind of across the board, anecdotal at best, but I think that really speaks to why, this should be a good
will there be any quality aspects to the fiber, i.e. fibril angle percent fiber versus percent herd?
In the overall protocol, no. When we put across these 10 locations, no, we are not looking at that. The reason we are is we're focused more on total biomass. That's how we're having them collect the harvest data. So it'll be a total plot weight. We're not taking this through the processing facility and breaking those down by percent herd, percent fiber. If that shows up later, great, but that's not what the focus of this protocol is for.
Mandi, that's a good question. This could be additional research idea because goes into, I'm not expert in hemp, goes to the grading and quality evaluation, do some chemical analysis, lignin, cellulose, hemicellulose, carbon, all these content in the plants. That's additional analysis. It requires significant amount of funding to do that. And that's future idea. This is a good idea to look into it into the future. And that's actually, Andy and I, we discussed several ideas about that. So that's, stay tuned. That some future projects could be evolved based on these trials. Because really these trials are I want to reinforce this again to everybody that this is the first data collection or research idea within the GHA. And that is going to put the GHA in the spotlight, not just advocating on PR, but actually doing some research, doing some tangible data research projects to the membership, to the industry. So these are collecting research ideas. It's going to be part of the portfolio for future ideas to collect and fund the future projects. So it doesn't have to put all your eggs in one basket. You need to answer all questions in this research project. these research projects are complex and required a lot of funding to do it. It's not just simple, do quality and do this and do breeding, certification that require a lot of funding. So let us start and be recognized as an organization doing research. Then present some ideas and seek funding for it. And that's really the whole concept of this research and development, in my view.
Well, and I real quick want to touch, and then Jeff, yes, go ahead, is remember, this is year one, right? We have
Right.
lots of opportunities to grow, and that includes, you know, increased yields on rotation crops, the quality of fiber versus herd, and, you know, then moving into the processing itself. You know, what does the genetic, how does the genetics itself, or how do they, or the way that they're harvested, weigh into that end use product based on which processor it's going through? And so there are lots of levels to this that we can consider that will come up based on where everybody is. But yeah, year one. Jeff, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. Thanks, Mandy. So a little
Yeah.
background, I've been kind of involved with hemp research since 1998 up in Canada. Currently chair the Canadian Variety Testing Program here, and I'm the chair for the HIA Seeds and Grains Committee too. So the comment, I have a couple of things, I guess, with regards to certified versus non-certified, or pedigree versus non-pedigree, I think is an important one. And as Mahdi has just indicated, research is very pricey. Research has a lot of variables that are taken into play, and to reduce some of those variables, and Rusty's comment, whether a variety that isn't pedigree performs in a specific year or it does perform in a specific year, what a pedigree does, it doesn't give you that performance, but it gives you the consistency that that variety is what it's supposed to be in the bag, the germination, etc., which I'm sure that you'll all be taking current germinations to have your seeding rates and everything in line. But the pedigree part of it is this uniformity, the stability. So the THC comes into factor, which is an important factor also. So my only suggestion, I guess, is that should be taken into consideration, because hemp is a very variable crop. I had to take a phone call at the same time, sorry. So I'm not sure if you've got an idea how many replicates you'll have, but that's an important aspect too, to sort of smooth out those CVs. What CVs are going to be accepted? Where's your cutoff? Is it 15%, 20%? That's an important one, because as we know, with this crazy crop that we love, it does whatever it wants to do and whatever Mother Nature has in store for it. So, you know, establishment is extremely important. And on the fiber side of things, that's going to have a huge effect on your biomass and quality. On the biomass side of things, on the grain side, you can have a plant population of 5 to 6 plants per square foot versus a plant population of 8 to 10 plants per square foot and have the same yield, because those internodes get closer together, the branches out, yields more, and you don't have an issue. But on the fiber side of things, that's a huge difference. So anyway, just thought I'd throw in a bit of my 2 cents, and yeah, wish you all the luck. And if there's anything that we can do to help from Canada to provide some of the protocols, some of the results we've had, some things that worked and some things that weren't for shit, I'd be more than happy to share that. And you know, I'd even start, you know, we've done some dormant seeding up in Canada. Seeding, you know, we get snow right after Halloween. We throw the snowsuit on the kids, send them out the door, and then we pull out the drill. We found almost a 3x yield increase from dormant seeding. So hemp has a very tough time getting out of the soil unless it's a volunteer. And then all of a sudden there's no issue with it ever. So having it established, but when you try to do that, when you try to replicate what Mother Nature threw at you, it often throws you a curve. So there's lots of things I think that I think we can help out with, and I'm open to chat about that at any time.
Jeff, I agree with all your comments, and just one answer to your question. The trial will be a completely randomized design with 4 replication. So that's the model we use is completely randomized, and it's going to be 2 different planting method as well, drilling and broadcasting that will be used. So at least side by side, but the same design, completely randomized, are replicated 4 times. In any research, if you want to shoot for a coefficient of variance, the CV you mentioned, it has to be really, you'll be lucky if you get 30, 20% in the field application. In the laboratory, probably you could ask for 10 or 5% CV in the variability of the outcome.
Yeah, I think you'll find that as your growers, as your researchers get more experience, that will the CV will decrease, and we saw the same thing. You know, we started out exactly like that, 40-50% much of the time. Now most of the results that we get from our experienced growers, whether it's grain or fiber, is in that 10 to 20% range. So yeah, it's as we know, it takes about 3 years to learn to grow this crop, whether you're a farmer or a researcher. It's got some of its issues for sure. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
All of our researchers have experience in growing hemp, or well, 8 out of the 10 locations do, and the other 2 locations are people with 30 years in the research industry. So it's not like we're just putting these trials out with people that have no research experience. These people are, the top of the line at what they do, and that's why we've approached them about placing trials in those locations.
I don't have any problem with 30 years experience with research trials, but when you're researching hemp, you will see a difference, Melissa, guaranteed. So it's not the same. It's a new crop.
And I think you're a good resource, but I also think that we've done our homework and where we're placing these, and we've done our homework.
Good to hear.
Anybody else? Anybody else have questions? I saw there's quite a few. Hannah, I saw your picture came up, or I don't know if you have any questions or anything you'd like to add. And then I know there's a few of you others. I know Sarah is on here, is heavily involved. Mike, if you guys have anything that you'd like to add or ask, please chime in. This is our opportunity to really discuss this. Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you, Mandi. Yeah, I'm from Europe, and we trying to kind of like support the US like industry with the varieties from Europe. So I just like wonder like if the like maybe like similar question, like somebody has like this like the consistency of the varieties, because not all the varieties what you are going to trial, if they are not certified, going to have the consistency. So just like wonder of the results, because once you trialing some batch and then like the consistency of the supply, it's not really like there. So then the other batch can be completely different, and the results kind of like not really like applicable so far. So I just like wonder how you going to kind of like deal with this with this issue of the like non-consistent varieties, if you're going to still leave them in the trial, or if you kind of like trying to get from the breeder some really approved like consistent batch, or how you're going to solve this issue.
Yeah, so these are all varieties chosen with reputable seed locations. Everything's going to be third-party germ tested before it goes in the ground. When we complete the trial, we'll be posting where these seeds were purchased. And so, we want to be as transparent as possible throughout the whole process. Because yes, there's a lot of bad seed characters in the game. And so we've really done our homework as to where we're supplying these sources of seed and what we're looking at there. And then one of the questions was, are we looking at putting locations in Argentina? No, this year is all US based locations.
Again, depending on funding in future years, we can roll these over. And then I wanted to bring up this too. We've had a lot of questions on people ask as far as funding goes, first right of refusal for additional years on sponsorship. That is depending on the level of sponsor and opportunity. So if you want to come in, or somebody that may want to come in and support this year with a large sum or a chunk of the need, and then being able to, actively be involved and be able to kind of contribute to some of the needs as we build the future years out, that is something that we would discuss and get involved with. So Sarah, I see you have a question.
I do. How far is the north trials? How far north are we coming? Because Alaska is totally different You know, our world is, and our growing season is totally different. So the so I appreciate all of this work, and I'm so thankful for you guys, and thank you so much for putting all this together. But we get 18 to 24 hours of daylight
So
here in Alaska.
we
So
picked-
how north are we going?
We picked locations that would, and I'll let Melissa to speak to this a little bit, but we specifically picked locations that we knew that the industry and the buyers, I guess, Melissa, do you want to kind of speak to how?
Yeah, so the locations we picked have really representations of areas where we see the fiber really expanding in terms of industry, where these processors are going to be coming online, where we're going to have the potential for the most growers. So while Alaska is a great place to grow, and
We have no infrastructure. No.
right, there's no supporting infrastructure.
We know
So,
that. Yeah.
So the data collected there would just really not be applicable to that many people. So
that wasn't the intent of my question. My question was to know if I'm going to bring some of these seed trials to my Alaskan growers, I want them to know that this was done in Minnesota, or this was done in a similar climate. That's all.
Like Canada?
Yeah.
we'll be releasing all the latitudes and the locations of all the researchers that are done. We will be up in the very north latitude of the United States for some of our locations. So yes, we are trying to hit locations that will really be applicable to everyone in the United States, and they can pull from these different regions that we've targeted.
I want to address this too. By us providing both certified and uncertified seeds is a really good data point, you guys. As much as like there's this concern that the seeds we're using is a waste of time or a waste of money because it's not consistent, that will show up in data. And that gives us an opportunity to present a lot of this. And so I do want to bring this up, that the trials provide us an opportunity because they're so robust and because we've been diverse in our selection and are not only doing Chinese or European or Canadian varieties or US varieties. This is our opportunity to really highlight what we know is working, provide reliable data, provide scalability. And so all of these concerns, so you know, have been thought out months and months before and in preparation. And I appreciate our team being able to answer these hard questions and answer some of it, because it's critical that we discuss, and it's critical that our team and you guys understand this is about our industry. This isn't about Melissa's pocketbook or mine or Rusty's or Drew's or anybody else on our team, but for us to really build this as an industry. Rusty, you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. To piggyback off of that, like I completely understand. Again, a year and a half ago, I was on this. It's got to be AOSCA certified. It has to be OECD certified. And what I found is I put a lot of faith in that and discounted a lot of good information and data from seed that wasn't AOSCA and OECD certified until I saw 2 years of it growing consistently, and anecdotally saw these varietals outperform a lot of the AOSCA and OECD certified seeds. So with that being said, there should definitely be a case to be made for, should now these seed varietals become AOSCA and OECD certified? And I think that this should make a strong case for that, and hopefully it'll bring that to the next step.
Yeah, I think that kind of adds to this, right?
Yeah. And I was also going to follow up and say, like, you know, there's the degree to which they are certified seed, but that they would only perform well in northern states. So we're trying to look at the US as a whole. And in some cases, we need to source from regions that will perform better in southern states, so that the farmers have opportunities to grow in those states, but those varietals may not be certified, at least not yet. So it's kind of a balancing act, and it's a little tricky, as well as availability. How easy is it to get some of these? There's obviously logistics costs associated with that, and you know, cost to farmers can matter. You can get the most amazing certified seed that performs fantastic in well, you can't actually, but if one were and it was too expensive, then you could get something that you can't benefit from monetarily. And when I say benefit from, I'm talking about farmers getting paid, because we're really trying to do this from a practical perspective, as well as, you know, obviously a thoughtful one, taking into consideration all of the market variabilities that we're faced with.
Yeah, just might add a few comments on this. There is a new paper just recently published. Is it the genetics major contributor to productivity or the environment? And what they found, there's 49% is related to the climate, 39% related to the management, and genetics only 13%. And that's generally. So when you look at the performance of any crop, whether hemp or corn, soybean, I'm familiar with corn, soybean, basically the general guide principle that's the productivity is controlled by G by M by E. What we mean genetic, by management, by environment. So the distribution of these different lines and different varieties, if you will, it's really to examine these different factors that impact the productivity. As Rusty mentioned very well, it's about the certified versus non-certified. Certification is a process of putting stamp of approval on certain seeds or varieties. We use that in soil carbon too. We have to certify the carbon credit before you sell it in the market. So certification is just another mechanism to make sure that product is meets certain standard, but it doesn't mean its performance is not good. So that's what we need really to look into it from more productivity perspective, rather hang onto the terminology of certification versus non-certification. And as Melissa mentioned, there is going to be another protocol will be followed to look into the rate of germination for each variety before we take it to the field. So there is a mechanism to ensure there is quality control of the performance. That's the main thing.
So again, I go back to really, there's lots of value to having both these certified and uncertified seeds. Melissa, I know you've got to dip out. You're busy. So I want to say thank you very much to you. If anybody has questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We can transfer them. Our research team meets regularly to address these issues and address questions. So please feel free to drop us a note or drop me a note or Joanna a note at any time, and we'll make sure that they do get brought up. A great point, and this is something, again, if we wait until we have all certified seeds, we may be in trouble on our end when it comes to getting information out. And more I hear from industries and distribution channels, buyers or customers, that they can't come into the market until we get our genetics figured out on a scalable level and across different regions. And so this is really our effort to help bridge that gap and meet in the middle. So I'm calling on you guys for help. I'm calling on you for support, our industry for support to sponsor and fund research like this that the industry owns and can use. And then, like I said, our organization is working hard to gather the data from Canada and universities and other organizations that have published data so that we can build on it instead of replicating existing data. So we are very aware as a team what's out there. And if you guys have additional data, please feel free to share it. Please feel free to bring forward so that we can prevent us from doing the same thing over and over again. But Sarah, I saw that you were on. I don't know if you have any specific questions or anything that you'd like to add, or Gary, I saw you're also on. If you guys have anything. John, I know you asked a question earlier. I think I missed over it. It was wondering about how many of these fields are organic versus non-organic. They're all on research plots versus in field this year, where we will move towards, the organic or non-organic in field production eventually. Anybody else before we sign off? Drew, do you have anything? Hannah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like a question because like we work already like 3, maybe 4 years with the universities in US who doing the trials on the hemp varieties, what we were supplying to them. So I just want to ask if you are going to somehow like build on those trials, or you just going not contact these universities, not evaluate the work have been done, and just like going from the scratch. I just
No,
like
we've met with lots of them. And a lot of the feedback I get is just like what we see, right? Certain universities are in their region or their territory. There is some national data that we have looked at that's been pulled. And so, yes, we have considered, and yes, we have looked at it. A lot of the feedback that we've received from universities is the value of this is that it's independent, it's not owned directly, and it's collected on all the same protocol on a third non-bias party. And so, yes, it is definitely. And again, we're partnering with Cornell on delivering some of this content. We're partnering with some other land-grant universities on sharing data and co-collaborating on presenting data. Yes, and in addition, Hannah, it was looked at, a lot of it was looked at and considered prior to building our protocol. So we really took, what was existing and what is needed and tried to bridge that gap. So absolutely. Anybody else have questions? Kayla, do you have anything you want to add, or Joanne, before we close up?
No, I just wanted to chime in and say hi to everybody. I see that the donor box has been posted a few times. You can make a donation as small as $3 through there, or as large as you'd like. So if anybody'd like to get involved, you're not ready for a sponsorship, but maybe you have a few bucks you'd like to put towards the cause, feel free to click that donor box link, make a donation there. It is tax deductible. So any questions that you have, you can also reach me at kayla@globalhempassociation.org, and I am happy to be a resource for you as well. Thanks.
Cool. Mahdi, Drew, Rusty, anything you guys want to say before we close up?
I think I'm good.
Okay, anything else from anybody? We'll sign off. I hate taking people. Shane,
Okay.
I see. Okay, well, thank you guys very much. Please spread the word. Please reach out if you have any questions.
I did just see a donation come in from Shane Mutter. So shout out Shane. Thank you for your donation. We greatly appreciate you.
Awesome.
Everybody else, you don't let Shane be the coolest guy on the call. Come on. I appreciate all of your input. If you cannot make a donation, I do greatly appreciate your input as well. So if you have anything you weren't comfortable saying on the call today, but you have some input, once again, my email is kayla@globalhempassociation.org. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Kayla.
Thank y'all for what you do. It really is something. I mean, we all know where this industry is and where we're going, and it's people like Hannah who can come in and give us a lot of insight as well, with her years of experience. So I appreciate what she's done for the industry for us, and thank you for taking this leap of faith and doing this. So kudos to GHA and everybody that's affiliated. So thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very, very much. This is year one of a big project that we're going to take on, and an arm. If you guys are interested in getting involved in the committee, don't hesitate to reach out as well. There's, opportunity potentially to support or move forward. Our immediate committee on this project is kind of set, but definitely more opportunity. So, okay. Well, thank you very, very much. Perky, I'll come see you here in a little while, and you guys have a good day.
Thanks,
Take care.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Randy.
Bye,
Thank you.
Florida.
Bye.
Thank you. I know I'm headed to Costa Rica here on Wednesday, so I get to go from one event to the next. So that's pretty exciting.
That's pretty tough.
Yes. I can't complain, that's for sure.
Enjoy it.
Hey, thank you guys. See you later.
Yeah, take care.